Hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have a Protoss versus Zerg submitted from the fans. I'm not even going to reveal who submitted this, as not to reveal who potentially could have won or who is more likely to win. So let's go ahead and introduce the players. Up here in the top left-hand corner of Entomb Valley, we have the red and platinum Protoss player. His name is Swissian. And his opponent, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Entomb Valley as the blue Zerg player, also a diamond level player. We have the blue Zerg player, none other than Pugsly. Now, this replay was submitted by one of these two players to feardragon64@gmail.com. I'll leave it in the comments below, or sorry, in the description below. But you can go ahead and submit your replays over there, and I will actually end up casting them, casting 100% of them. So feel free to send me those, and yeah, you'll get your games casted. What's not to like about that? And yeah, but for now, we're actually going to go ahead and see a bit of an interesting opening from Swissian. Actually, not only is this not going to be a Forge fast expand that we often see from the Protoss players, it's not even going to be a gateway wall. In fact, it looks like Swissian actually going for a pylon behind his mineral line after getting the first pylon over by his Nexus, and it's going to be very, very interesting. This really is not very standard play at all. We'll end up seeing how Swissian is actually going to play this out. Meanwhile, it looks like Pugsly, the Zerg player, is going to go ahead and grab that natural expansion before his spawning pool. Just a nice little economic advantage that you can do, especially if your opponent does not get that probe in time. You do have to be a little bit wary of those kind of Forge fast expand cannon rushes, but we can already see that that is not going to be coming down from Swissian. Or is it? I don't even know anymore, actually, as this Forge is now going down after the Gateway and now also the Assimilator. It's a very interesting build. I actually think that Swissian didn't realize that he was in a Protoss versus Zerg. We can already see red and blue, the standard colors that you see in latter games. So most likely didn't realize it. Also forgot to wall off. Thought maybe it was a Protoss versus Terran. Was kind of on autopilot. This happens to everyone, I'm sure. And then realized a little bit midway through, like, oh shoot! I'm playing against a Zerg, oh no! And then he realized that, threw down this second pylon, threw down this Forge, so now throwing down this cannon and this cannon just to be safe. But unfortunately for him, look at this. Pugsly has only 4 Zerglings on the way, playing a pretty economic game at this point in time. Doesn't really look like he's going to be going for anything super duper aggressive. Just now getting that gas up, probably for that Zergling speed. And yeah, just 4 Zerglings being produced at this point in time. And now it looks like he's going to go ahead and use those Zerglings to go ahead and scout. And we'll see what Pugsly sees and how he's going to react to how Swissian has decided to open. Swissian clearly making a couple of big mistakes in the early game, honestly. And it's going to be very difficult for him to make a comeback into this game. Now, we do see the Zerglings popping in. There is a Zealot over there, so they might actually be able to do some nice scouting information. But the cannon does pop up, and now he actually manages to win in conjunction with that Zealot to net that Zergling kill. So very well played from Swissian. Clearly, that was his plan all along, to net that one Zergling kill, but 50, or actually 25 in minerals, not quite worth the cost of that one cannon just quite yet. We'll end up seeing how Swissian will end up defending if Pugsly does decide to go for some kind of big aggression play. We do see just drones on the way for Pugsly, and I really like this decision. You know that your opponent has invested in these cannons, has invested in basically this very defensive position at this point in time. So why not go ahead and say, hey, my opponent can't really be aggressive with these cannons that he's built in his base, so why not just play it, you know, an economic game? Go ahead and get my, yeah, exactly, get my evolution chamber up, get my third expansion up. I like this play over here where he's knocking down these blocks, preparing to take that third, getting your upgrades, getting your cleans up, droning up, and actually getting a lot of Zerglings. It's kind of an interesting decision in its own right. And we're going to end up seeing if he decides to do any kind of aggression with these Zerglings. I feel like this might actually just have been a bit of an overreaction to try and take down these rocks, and maybe preparing for a potential push, as he knows his opponent is still on one base. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and end up seeing if this was actually just over-zergling up. Zergling up. But, yeah, because you have to remember, every single zergling that is made is a drone loss, basically. That you're using up that larva, you're using up those minerals. So, well, actually every 2 zerglings, but you get the point, I'm sure. In the meanwhile, there it is, the third being taken by Pugsly before Swissian even actually has a natural expansion. But wow, what is this? It looks like this probe is over here in the bottom center. It looks like we're gonna have to wait and end up seeing if this can be up to some kind of shenanigans, maybe a proxy pylon on the map. You might be able to put on some nice aggression over there with that. But we do see the Zerglings swarming in. They're gonna be able to do some nice damage, almost get a nice surround on the Zealots. They do manage to get back into a nice position though, and the Zealots actually end up being taken out. Here, a couple more Zealots are being morphed in. These cannons are definitely racking up these kills over here. It's Immortal also even doing a nice bit of damage, up to 2 kills already. These Zealots do end up getting taken out, but the Zergling counter has diminished quite severely, and now the Zerglings are trying to do the target fire down on that Immortal. The Immortal might actually go down, but no! The War Prism picks it up, and it looks like even though the War Prism did pick it up, I don't think the Immortal would have gone down in time, although the Zerglings do get cleaned up. So not the best trade by Pugsly, but still Pugsly has a very nice scout off. Probably actually the most important thing that he got from that trade was seeing this Citadel of Adun. Twilight Council, of course, they renamed it in StarCraft 2, still gets me to this day. But that does mean he will know about the potential for a Dark Shrine. He does already have that evolution chamber that we were talking about before, so he will be able to get those upgrades out. We're going to end up seeing whether or not he actually utilizes that, but this War Prism does have this Immortal. He ended up actually dropping his probe and trying to build a pylon. I'm not sure if that was actually worth it, considering the War Prism can just go into warping mode. But for now, we do see that he's trying to do some nice drops over here. Is not quite able to do anything. This queen is going to be a little bit vulnerable. He might actually be able to get the queen kill. The Immortal target firing down that queen, but the Zerglings are coming in. He has to make sure he doesn't lose that Immortal. Oh no, actually ends up losing the Immortal while the queen just target fires down that War Prism. The queen even surviving. So an unfortunate series of events for Swissian. But in the meanwhile, look at this. This is what this probe is up to. Going ahead and sneaking an expansion. So we're going to have to end up seeing if Swissian is going to be able to come back into this game with this hidden expansion, or if Pugsly is just going to be too far ahead and not coming. Let's go ahead and take a look at the worker count. It is 30 probes to 45 drones, so Pugsly definitely taking the advantage, especially with that third already up. But what is this? It looks like Swissian might actually be looking to take a natural expansion. So that will put him up to 3 bases very, very quickly. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to defend against any kind of aggression that Pugsly goes for. But wow, we actually see the Dark Shrine has finished up at this point in time. And now the Dark Templar is actually going in and trying to do the target fire down on this natural, or on this third hatchery. We're going to have to wait and see. And it looks like Pugsly does not have any form of detection whatsoever. Now, just now, getting those spores up. And now he will be able to get those spores up in time to defend. If he goes ahead and does something like target, or puts these Zerglings on hold position off the ramp, the Dark Templar is actually fatally going ahead and wasting time killing that Spine Call off. That is going to give the Zerglings the time to get that surround up as those Spore Crawlers build. Now we do see one additional Dark Templar out on the map. He is going ahead and killing as much as he can. Might actually get up to a couple of more drone kills over here. And these Zerglings are going to go ahead and run away while this Overseer Mercs. So, but this Dark Templar is definitely going to be the hero of Ire, definitely racking in those kills, so definitely worth the money investing. He's going to be the retired cop that they'll come back to him in the future and say, hey man, we know that you were in the war, you did a fabulous job, you definitely served our country, but you need to come back, we need you to lead us into a glorious battle. The Dark Templar is going to be like, alright dude, tell you what, gonna do it. But I need another Dark Templar. Then he's going to find his love interest. He's going to become an Archon. And yeah, all that kind of good stuff. We're actually going to end up seeing whether or not Swissian does decide to go for the Archons. As let's go ahead and go to the production tab. Oh my god, we actually see a Nidus worm being produced. Where is it going to go? Oh, is he just building it for the first time? Actually, okay, I didn't hear the noise, so I guess he is just looking to be prepared to build it now. So he will now be ready to produce that Nidus worm once he does decide to swarm up his Nidus worm network with these Zerglings and maybe some of those roaches. I did see a roach warren somewhere, didn't I? Yeah, there it is. There's that roach warren and that Galileo reconstitution researching a very important upgrade. But once those roaches do pop, he will be able to get out those Zerglings and Roaches into that Nidus Worm, put on some nice aggression. And it looks like in the meanwhile, Pugsly does not have any idea about this hidden third expansion over in the bottom left-hand corner. And we actually see this Overlord nicely positioned as well as this one over here. So we could see a Nidus Worm going down over here, maybe even over here, as yes, Swissian has no idea about this location right over here. So if Pugsly is aware of that, he can plant down a glorious Nidus Worm that would definitely get out in time. But the meanwhile, it looks like Pugsly going ahead and knocking down these fourth rocks. This War Prism actually just kind of going ahead and chilling over here. Not really planning to do a whole lot. But he will actually have noticed potentially that these... Yes, he does know that those rocks were knocked down, so should be preparing for the potential of Pugsly trying to take a fourth expansion. Now we do see... Oh my god, that is so many Banelings. Wow! Pugsly going for the massive Baneling tech switch, as well as a couple of Roaches, so we're going to have to see what kind of aggression Pugsly is going to be able to do with this Nidus Worm. He can actually do some really nice plays by pushing at the front with a bunch of units, but look at this cannon. Oh my god, that's a lot of cannons. But, as I was saying, he could push at the front while doing a Nidus network over here or something, and trying to just send the Banelings in, kill off the economy of his opponents. We'll end up seeing what he decides to do. But in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and take a look at the upgrades. We do see the +1 melee attacks actually researched for Pugsly, as well as no upgrades on the missile attacks or the carapace upgrades against Swissian's +1/+1 upgrade. So Swissian definitely having the advantage in upgrades. But here is that Nidus Worm. Glorious placement. I love this placement. This is so good. And now Swissian should have word of it. Let's go ahead and take a look at his camera. I love watching when they hear that Nidus Worm sound. Where is it? Where's the Nidus Worm? Grab my army. Oh no, defend! They're coming out. We do see the Banelings coming out there. Oh my god, the Archon's actually taking a huge amount of damage. The Zealot's actually getting diminished immediately. Now these 3 Archons are going to be able to take so many of those. Oh, what? Oh my god, these Archons are taking so much of that Baneling damage. All of those Archons basically going to 0 health and taking really not that much splash damage from those Banelings. Those Banelings really not trading very cost efficiently. But oh, there is no detection with these Roaches, and these Roaches are actually going to be on the run from these Dark Templar, even taking some pot shots off from these cannons over here. So they are definitely going to be chasing them down across the map. Would like these Dark Templar to pull back when they notice that there is this creep over here, and this Overseer is going to be saying that the bane of the existence of these Dark Templar, they actually, their life was for ire, so I guess that's all okay. But in the meanwhile, these Zealots will be able to clean up that Nidus Worm. And yeah, I guess I would actually call that a very successful hold for Swissian. Even though he ended up losing those 3 Archons, a pretty substantial loss over there, he ended up being able to take out an obscene number of Banelings in that aggression, that defense. And yeah, it really ended up coming out ahead in that, considering Pugsly invested so heavily in that aggression. But we still see that Pugsly is very far ahead in that supply count. Now we actually even see this War Prism does in fact notice that there was that 4th expansion being taken down. We'll see. There it is, actually, the transition to that warping in mode. He's going to warp in all these Zealots. I guess this probe and this War Prism decided to reproduce inside of the War Prism. They were off alone in their own little world. Had no idea about the rest of the Protoss fleet, and actually now he's going to go ahead and abandon all of his children. Oh no, Mommy, Daddy, why are you leaving us? Oh my god, that's actually so morbid. But this War Prism is going to go ahead and try and escape. Looks like it also wants to go ahead and get a little bit of a scout off to see whether or not this 4th expansion was taken, or maybe he's just trying to run away in a very awkward path. Either way, oh, actually looks like he might try and do a little bit of aggression over here, but Pugsly is very much prepared for it. The Queen is also going to be ready to start putting on that aggression on the War Prism and stop him from being able to warp in. The War Prism very low on health, so he's going to have a very difficult time with that. But yeah, it looks like in the meanwhile, we do see a Spire going down somewhere on the map. Where is the Spire? Where are you? Anyways, the Spire is going down, so that is going to allow Pugsly to go ahead and transition to that Mutalisk tech. Or, if he actually does start getting that infestation pit in the near future, he will be prepared to start researching that greater Spire after he gets that hive tech down. But he still has a while. It's going to take him another 4 minutes to get that greater Spire up if he starts throwing down the infestation pit right now. But in the meanwhile, look at this over here from Pugsly. Go ahead and taking those 4th and 5th expansions. Meanwhile, Swissian just staying on those 3 bases. But look at this additional cannons being thrown out. Swissian really not wanting to lose this game to aggression from his opponent. We're going to have to see if this is too heavy of an investment, though. He might actually just fall behind if Pugsly decides to just massively drone up and put on maybe a little bit of aggression with these Mutalisks. Go ahead and bypass this huge cannon force with those air units that can go ahead and fly over these ridges. But even still, quite a few cannons in the main. I have to say, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do a massive amount of damage, especially with this very large gateway count. He's going to be able to warp in 9 stalkers at a time. You can already see that he is floating a bit of money as well, so he's definitely going to have the money for it. But in the meanwhile, Swissian just going ahead and getting those upgrades, getting additional immortals. Oh my god, he's still producing immortals. Not actually going for the robotics bait tech. It's going to be a very interesting play, as the robotics bait tech, generally the transition that you have as a Protoss player out, and actually even 2 robotics facilities out producing immortals with the Chronoboost. But now we actually see the Mutalisks coming in, 20 Mutalisks coming in, and wow, there's a lot of Stalkers also coming in, and these Mutalisks are taking an obscene amount of damage from those cannons. I'm actually not sure if this is going to be worth it. Pugsly probably regretting this decision, saying, why do you have so many cannons in your main? Let me just take shelter in this little corner. They're in the little safe corner, trying to say, I'm safe over here, I'm safe over here, but the Stalkers find them and start shooting at their backs. Kapow, kapow, and the Mutalisk count has dwindled so much. 4 Mutalisks make it out, 3 Mutalisks make it out. So definitely not worth it from Pugsly. Ends up, oh my god, look at this catch up in the supply count. We can see Swissian only down about 35 supply as opposed to the 80 supply he was down earlier. So that Mutalisk loss was a huge play in this game that could actually spell the comeback of Swissian. He definitely has a very nice unit composition with all of these immortals. Does also have a nice upgrade advantage, already at +2, +1, researching the +3 weapons that's about to finish up, as opposed to his opponent who's only at +1 Carapace upgrade and +2 melee attacks. So going to be very rough for Pugsly being maxed out on this army. This is not the army composition you want when you max out. But meanwhile, he does have that infestation tech finishing up in just a second. He will be able to start that hive tech in just a little bit, and is getting that +1 missile attack, so it's going to be very helpful for him in that big engagement. But still, every second that he is waiting on that 200 max army, he's actually going to be falling a little bit behind in that army count. And look at that. Archons being morphed in. This is going to be so difficult for Pugsly to deal with, considering those Archons do have that +3 weapons. So that's going to allow them to do massive amount of damage. These Immortals definitely have the +3 weapons as well, so they're going to be able to do massive amount of damage against these Roaches. So, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Pugsly to hold off this big aggression that looks, oh my god, even more. Wow, 10 Archons from Swissian. We're going to have to wait and see if Pugsy's going to be able to hold off this aggression. I think this game might actually end right over here if Pugsy's not able to get up that Greater Spire. We do see the Hive about 3/4 of the way finished. He does also have that Spire ready to start that Broodlord transition, but is it going to come in time? No! Looks like for now, Swissian moving across the map, and all the Spine Powers are going to have to be canceled. There it is, the cancel. And now, Pugsly even losing a couple of those Banelings that he does not want to lose against those, just one Zealot individually. He wants those Banelings to connect with the rest of the clump of Zealots, as well as those Stalkers, and there are some nice engagements from those Banelings, and now the Roaches are engaging those Archons. This is exactly how Pugsly wants it. He has a very beautiful concave, but those Immortals doing so much damage. Those +3 weapons doing so much for Swissian's army. Look at this. These Immortals are racking up so many kills. Look at this. Wow, it does not look like Pugsly is going to be able to break through this, and it looks like now Swissian is going to be able to move forward with these 4 Immortals and these 2 Archons. Look at this. These Archons are also racking up quite a few kills. 11 kills on this Archon, 4 kills on this Immortal, and I'm sure one of them has some more kills. 15 kills on that one. He is a master, and he's going to be able to get even more kills with these Archons and these Immortals. Be able to take out another clump of Roaches. These Archons even doing some nice damage to these Mutalisks. Make sure that the Mutalisks cannot just clean up these Immortals. And wow, all of the Roach reinforcements are cleaned up, and even a couple of Zealot reinforcements being able to do some nice damage. Target firing down that natural expansion's hatchery. He's going to be able to take that out in just a second. There it goes down. If he's not careful, then Pugsly could also lose that Greater Spire as it is morphing in. It's going to spell the doom. If he loses that Greater Spire, I don't think he's going to be able to hold as you have to remember that Swissian is going ahead and grabbing this 4th expansion behind all of this, and now we see that these zealots are going to be able to start cleaning up some of those drones, even though Pugsly does have a very nice drone count. It's starting to dwindle, and at this point in time, Pugsly, in just amazement at this game, says the wow, says the GG, and that is going to spell the end of the game. Very well played by Swissian. So wow, just fabulous games from Swissian, actually able to come back in this game against all odds. Was definitely at a deficit, down to 80 to 90 supply points in time, and actually looks like he's just going to go ahead and continue this game. But yes, Swissian actually the sender of this replay, so thank you so much to Swissian for sending this to me. You can go ahead and submit your own replays that you want to cast it to feardragon64@gmail.com. And you can also go ahead and follow me on twitch.tv. That's twitch.tv/feardragon64. Twitter is twitter.com/feardragon64. youtube.com/feardragon64. That's where you're at. Please subscribe to me. Definitely helps. Like, comment below, do all the good stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the end of this cast. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys watch Swissian go ahead and clean up the rest of these units. So thanks guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.
Research complete. Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted.
I am here in the shadows. I am here in the shadows.
Mineral field depleted.